Okay, I want you to visualize something with me for a second. If you're not driving, maybe close your eyes. It's a scenario that, well, it's going to frame absolutely everything we talk about today. You're about to go on a journey, and I don't mean a vacation to the Maldives.
Right. Think something arduous.
Exactly. It's dangerous. It's exhausting. The stakes are incredibly high. Maybe it's a huge career pivot where you could lose everything, or a personal crisis, or, a literal survival situation. You're standing at the trailhead, staring up at this mountain, and you just know, you can physically feel you cannot carry this load by yourself.
You need a team.
You need a team. Now, you're standing in a room with 30 people you know. Colleagues, friends, people from your community. You have to pick 3 of them to come with you. That's it, just 3 slots. Who do you write down?
It's such a high-pressure question because you're not just picking who you like the most. You're picking the people you trust with your life.
It is. But here's the darker follow-up question, the one that really keeps you up at night. If everyone else in that room was making their list, would your name be on anyone's paper?
And that, right there, is the travel companion test.
Yeah.
And honestly, the results of that test are usually pretty terrifying for people.
We are going to dive deep into that terror today. We're looking at a fascinating talk given recently, January 20, 2026, to be exact, by Pastor Hu Zikang. Now, I want to set the stage here. On the surface, this is a theological deep dive. He's looking at the book of James, chapter 3, and the writings of a scholar named Warren Wiersbe. But if you strip away the religious context for just a second, what we actually have here, it's a masterclass in behavioral economics.
I would agree with that completely. It's really a study on cause and effect in relationships. The source material frames it as sowing and reaping, which sounds very agricultural, very farmer's almanac. But it's actually a rigorous system for understanding why our social lives look the way they do.
We're talking about divine wisdom versus worldly wisdom, hedgehogs, mud, roses, and why you might be lonely even if you think you're doing everything right.
The core thesis here is simple but kind of brutal. We tend to judge our lives by the harvest, the friends we have, the peace we feel, the success. We look at the end result. But the source argues that the harvest is irrelevant if you ignore the seed. You are defined by what you sow, not just what you want to reap.
So let's get into the mechanics of this. Sowing and reaping. It's a phrase we hear a lot, usually in a sort of karma sense. What goes around comes around. Is that what the source is getting at here, this cosmic boomerang effect?
It's more precise than that. Karma often implies some mystical cosmic balance that settles the score, eventually. The source, referencing Pastor Hu and Warren Wiersbe, it treats this as a mechanical inevitability. It's almost biological. If you plant corn, you get corn. You don't get watermelons. It's about identity formation. The source argues there are 2 operating systems you can install in your life: divine wisdom and worldly wisdom.
Divine versus worldly. That sounds a little dualistic. How does the source actually distinguish them in practice? Because usually when people say worldly wisdom, they mean being smart or being streetwise.
Exactly, and that is the trap. To explain this, the source uses 2 case studies from the Bible, Abraham and Lot. And even if you aren't familiar with the theology, their behavioral profiles are just fascinating archetypes for modern decision-making. Abraham represents divine wisdom. The source describes him as a peacemaker.
What does a peacemaker look like in this context? Because sometimes peacemaker sounds like a doormat. The person who just lets everyone walk all over them to avoid a fight.
Not at all, and the story clarifies this perfectly. In the narrative, there's this conflict over land between Abraham's herdsmen and Lot's herdsmen. It's a classic resource dispute. Limited grass, too many sheep. Worldly wisdom, the logic of the market, says, fight for your rights, take the best land, secure your assets.
Right.
If you don't look out for yourself, no one will.
That's standard business advice. Crush the competition. Maximize your ROI.
And that's what Lot did. He looked at the fertile plains of the Jordan, the prime real estate, the Silicon Valley of the region, and he said, I'm taking that. He made a decision based on sight, immediate gain, and self-interest.
Okay, so Lot is the guy who takes the corner office. And the biggest bonus, because he feels he earned it.
Precisely. It's what the source calls worldly wisdom. It's driven by envy, self-seeking, and immediate gratification. It looks smart in the short term. Lot got the better land. On a spreadsheet, Lot won that negotiation. But Abraham operated on divine wisdom. He told Lot, you choose first. If you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left. He prioritized the relationship over the asset. He played the long game. He understood that peace was a more valuable commodity than the grass.
And the result. Because, usually the guy who gives up the best land goes bankrupt.
Well, Lot's choice led him to pitch his tent near Sodom, a place that eventually became synonymous with chaos, war, and total destruction. He sowed self-interest and reaped instability. He lost everything. Abraham sowed peace and yielded a harvest of righteousness and legacy. The source emphasizes that worldly wisdom, this street-smart approach of looking out for number one, actually produces confusion and every evil work.
That's a strong claim. Every evil work. That feels like a bit of a slippery slope argument. You take the better office, and suddenly you're causing every evil work.
It sounds extreme, but follow the logic. The source references Proverbs chapter 6, verses 16 through 19. It's a list of things God hates. And right there, alongside murder and lying, things we all agree are terrible, is one who sows discord among brothers.
Wait, really? Being a drama queen is on the same list as murder.
In terms of what destroys a community, yes.
Yeah.
So the source calls this person a troublemaker. And think about it, we have all worked with one. Oh, absolutely. The person who CCs the boss on an email just to point out your mistake. Or the one who whispers, "Did you hear what they said about you?" Just to watch the reaction.
Right. It's triangulation. It's pitting people against each other to secure your own position. The source points out that this isn't just an annoyance, it's a systemic failure. When you sow discord, you are fracturing the very foundation you're standing on. You might think you're climbing the ladder, but you're actually setting the building on fire.
You know, it's interesting because sowing discord often masquerades as like just asking questions or playing devil's advocate, but the intent is disruption.
Exactly. And that intent, it leaves a residue. People know. They might not call you out on it immediately, but they file it away.
Which brings us right back to that travel companion test we opened with. Because if you are the person setting the building on fire, nobody is going to invite you on the journey.
This is the part of the deep dive that really stuck with me. The speaker describes a real psychological activity done with a group of 30 acquaintances. They had to write down their 3 companions and the results. They are incredibly polarizing.
It's a brutal mirror.
So what happened?
Well, you had the person A types. One individual was selected by nearly 75% of the room.
Well,
Think about that. Out of 30 people, 20 plus wanted that specific person watching their back.
that is immense relational wealth.
Yeah.
That's the person who, when they walk in the room, everyone relaxes. You just know things are going to be handled.
Exactly. That person has sown peace, reliability, and support for years. They are reaping the harvest of trust. But then you had the other side. There were people in that room, people who knew everyone else, who'd worked alongside them, who couldn't write down a single name.
Wait, clarify that. They couldn't pick anyone, or no one picked them.
They couldn't pick anyone. They held the pen, looked around at 30 faces they knew, and decided, I cannot trust any of you.
That is bleak.
It's a crisis. And this is where the analysis gets really interesting psychologically. Our instinct is to say, wow, those 30 people must be so unreliable if this poor guy can't trust them. Yeah? We sympathize with the loner, but the source flips it.
Let me guess. It's not about the room. It's about the person holding the pen.
Correct. The source introduces the concept of the hedgehog personality.
I love the visual, but break that down for me. Why a hedgehog?
Think about the anatomy of a hedgehog. It survives by being covered in spines. It's a defensive mechanism. When a hedgehog feels threatened, it curls into a ball. Nothing can get in to hurt it, but, and here's the key, nothing can get out either, and nothing can get close.
The spines that protect you are the same spines that isolate you.
Precisely. If you look at a room of 30 people and you see 30 potential threats, the source suggests the issue isn't the room, it's your own defensive posture. You are operating out of fear, not connection.
So if I can't find 3 people to trust, it's because I haven't sown the seeds of trust myself.
That's the argument. You've sown suspicion, you've sown distance. You have protected yourself so thoroughly that you have isolated yourself completely. You have reaped a lonely journey because you sowed spines.
That's a really tough realization. It challenges that modern narrative of, protect your peace or cut toxic people out. We hear that all the time. If they don't serve you, cut them off.
And there is a place for boundaries, absolutely. But the source is warning against making that your default setting. If you cut everyone out, you're just the guy alone in a bunker. And when the journey gets hard, and it will, you have no one to help carry the pack.
And the source says that loneliness is self-inflicted. It's the harvest of the hedgehog.
It is. It's a harvest of zeros.
Okay, so if we realize we are being a hedgehog, if we're the ones with the spines, how do we de-spine ourselves? How do we become the person 75% of the room wants to travel with?
The source pivots here to some really beautiful imagery. specifically using Chinese idioms to explain the how-to of connection. It gives us a tactical guide. The first idiom is sending charcoal in snowy weather.
虚张桑tan, I've heard this before. It's very evocative.
It is. Imagine it's freezing, deep winter. Someone is shivering, maybe running out of fuel. They are vulnerable. You show up at their door, not with advice, not with a lecture, not with, I told you so, but with charcoal, fuel, warmth.
It's practical help in a crisis. It's bringing the lasagna when someone is sick. It's staying late to help the new guy finish a report.
Exactly. It's showing up when the chips are down. The source calls these people angels because that kind of help creates a bond that is almost unbreakable. But the source contrasts this with another idiom, adding flowers to brocade.
Brocade is that fancy embroidered silk.
Yeah.
Right, it's already beautiful.
Right. Adding flowers to it is redundant. It's gilding the lily. In a social context, adding flowers to brocade means flattering someone who is already successful. It's being nice to the boss when they just won an award.
It's easy. It costs you nothing.
And it buys you nothing, really. It's superficial. The source argues that hedgehogs often fail to send charcoal. They are too busy protecting their own stockpile. There's a phrase mentioned. Sweep the snow from your own door and don't worry about the frost on your neighbor's roof.
That sounds like the motto of about half the people I see online. Stay in your lane. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
And while that can be a defense against burnout, the source argues that if you adopt that as a lifestyle, you are creating a culture of extraction.
Extraction versus contribution. Let's unpack that.
Think about a team at work. An extractive environment is one where everyone is trying to get the most credit for the least work. They're sweeping their own door. If you ask for help, they say, that's not in my job description. They're extracting value without contributing to the culture.
That's a dying team. I've been on teams like that. The morale is non-existent.
It is. But a charcoal culture is a contribution culture. It's where people realize that if my neighbor's roof collapses from the frost, well, it damages the structural integrity of my house too. The source says that when we act as peacemakers, people who send charcoal, we aren't just being nice, we are investing.
We're sowing seeds.
Yes, sowing seeds that will eventually create a harvest of loyalty.
So the person who gets picked by 20 people for the journey, that's the person who brought the charcoal when everyone else was just adding flowers.
Exactly. They built relational equity when it was hard, so they have a surplus when they need it. They showed up.
The source moves from these individual actions to describing entire environments. It uses two very strong metaphors, the garbage dump and the garden. And I feel like this is where the sewing concept goes from 2D to 3D.
This is where the sensory language really kicks in. The source asks us to imagine a garbage dump environment.
I can smell it already.
It's a place filled with complaints, hatred, gossip, criticism, jealousy. The source calls these things stench. If you work in a garbage dump, you go home smelling like garbage. It clings to you, drains your energy. You walk in on Monday morning and you just feel your soul wither.
And the source links this to the old self.
Yes, referring to the works of the flesh from the Bible. Weakness, timidity, slander. These aren't just moral failings. The source treats them as pollutants. They make the environment unlivable. If you are a gossip, you are essentially dumping trash in the break room.
Contrast that with the garden.
The garden is characterized by fragrance. This is where the source brings in the fruit of the Spirit from Galatians. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
See, I've heard that list 1,000 times in Sunday school. But viewing them as environmental indicators is really interesting. Like, patience isn't just a personal virtue. It's an HVAC system for the office. It keeps the temperature regulated.
That's a great way to put it. And self-control is the fence that keeps the wild animals out. The source argues that you have to actively weed out the garbage traits and cultivate the garden traits. You don't get a garden by accident. If you leave a plot of land alone, you don't get roses, you get weeds. A garden requires intentionality.
Intentionality implies hard work. It implies getting your hands dirty.
Which leads us to the absolute highlight of this talk for me, the mud and rose analogy. This is the one that I think everyone should write on a sticky note and put on their mirror.
I highlighted this part too. It's such a simple image, but it explains the mechanism of sowing and reaping so perfectly.
The speaker says, if you throw mud at someone, your own hands get dirty first.
Let's just sit with that for a second. We usually focus on the victim. Oh, you threw mud at Bob. Poor Bob is dirty. But the source is saying, look at your own hands.
Before the mud ever reaches Bob, and it might miss him entirely, he might duck, it has already soiled your skin. The act of malice requires you to immerse yourself in malice malice, the anger, the bitterness, the plotting, that is the mud, you are damaging your own psyche, your own soul, before you ever inflict damage on the other person.
That completely reframes revenge, doesn't it? We think revenge is the way to get even, but actually, it's just a way to get dirty. You're punishing yourself.
And the flip side is equally powerful. If you give a rose to someone, the fragrance lingers on your own hand.
Even if they don't take it.
Even if they slap it out of your hand, even if they don't say thank you, the act of offering kindness, of generating that fragrance, it leaves a residue on the giver. You walk away smelling like roses.
That seems to be the antidote to the hedgehog.
It is. The hedgehog is afraid. What if I give a rose and they prick me? What if I send charcoal and they don't pay me back? The source is saying, it doesn't matter. The benefit is in the sowing, not just the reaping. By being a person who holds roses, you become a person who smells like roses. You create an internal environment of peace, that divine wisdom, regardless of how the world treats you.
So you become the garden, even if you're standing in the middle of a garbage dump.
That is the ultimate goal. That is what it means to be a peacemaker. You aren't just keeping the peace, you are making peace where there wasn't any before. You are importing the atmosphere of the garden into the dump.
That's a powerful shift in agency. We usually blame our environment. My office is toxic, my family is messy, Twitter is a cesspool. But this suggests we have the power to change the air quality just by what we choose to hold in our hands.
We are the architects, we are the farmers. If you look at your life and you see drama, conflict, isolation, you have to look at the seeds. You can't plant slander and hope to harvest trust. It biologically doesn't work.
So, bringing it all back to the start, the journey, the list of 3 names.
The challenge the source leaves us with is this. Don't worry so much about who you would pick. We spend so much time evaluating others. Is he worthy? Is she loyal? The source flips the lens.
It's asking, are you the person others would pick?
Exactly. If the balloon was going down, would anyone reach for you?
That requires a serious audit of our own behavior.
It does. It requires asking, am I a hedgehog? Am I sweeping only my own door? Am I throwing mud? Or am I the person who shows up with charcoal when it's snowing?
It's about building relational capital, and not in a manipulative networking way, not adding flowers to brocade, but in a genuine, I am here for you way.
Because eventually the snow comes for everyone, and when it does, you don't want to be alone with your spines.
I would leave you with one final thought to mull over as you go about your day. We talk about the hedgehog's spines as a defense mechanism, keeping the bad stuff out. But think about the physics of a spine. It points outward. It's a weapon of separation.
Right. It says stay back.
In a world that tells us to be independent and self-sufficient, we often mistake our spines for strength. We think being untouchable makes us strong. But is it possible that the safety you're fighting for is actually a cage? Is it possible that the very things you think are protecting you, your cynicism, your boundaries, your refusal to be vulnerable, are actually the bars of your own prison?
That is a powerful thought. Drop the spines. Plant a rose.
It might be the bravest thing you do all week. Thanks for diving in with us.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one.